welcome back to another stream. Today we're going to continue our adventure through Feed the Factory's Sky Factory 3 mod pack. So let's go ahead and let's get back into it. In the last episode in stream, we were able to finally get some diamonds along with a little base going. Got a large platform going around the entire tree area, so that way we can actually get more resources from this faster. Got more sugarcane going. We have a little plot right here going, and we also have an enchanting table. And I do need to very quickly fix one of the controls here. So I'm sure you guys remember that I said I was going to use my diamond hammer on this to collect a lot of gravel. And while I was doing that, I was also watching a YouTube video on the side. And, well, I collected a lot of gravel. Almost 8.5 stacks. From using this thing about 512 times. And I lost 32, I think that's 42 actually. 42 bits of gravel. So, still though, very large return rate. Let's go ahead and condense this down so that way it'll be faster. Because we might not get through all this gravel in this video stream because, well, for the sole purpose of going through 52 compressed gravel is going to take a while. But we can at least start by making sure that we have the sheaves that we want. So, got a lot of ore right here, but I'm looking for iron ore in particular. That's what I want to do. It's actually way back here, I believe. Alright, I already did that. Gotta check that off. Actually, I don't remember. Maybe I should have taken a look at that before I started, but that's alright. I'm sure it'll come eventually. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and get sugarcane from this. And let's actually use this one. Efficiency 2 for a little bit. So we can get quite a few bits from that, but I also want to make sure that I get some bits from here. Those 3 here. And in today's video, I actually want to get that down there all sorted, so that way it's not a huge trip hazard. I think this block right here messes with it. This. There we go. Alright. And I'm gonna go over here. And body part template. The bits of this block are used as body part placeholders in creation of chiseled armor. Interesting. Anyway, slap time. Alright, it's very... Oh, that was very risky, but it worked out. And actually, I'm gonna go ahead and go up here and get rid of all the mobs that are in here. Is that a baby? It's a baby notch. Oh, I got a fire. That's cool. Definitely going to be quite helpful for going into the iron phase. Oh yeah, as mentioned, I was going to make a hopper minecart system underneath there, so I can get all the stuff that the squids keep dropping and filter out all of the ink sacs. Because these guys love to drop the little goodie bags. In fact, I have a rare, uncommon, and common already. But insects don't really have a purpose on this island, so... Well, let's see what we got in each. Common, we have jungle saplings. Uncommon, we have iron and copper. And in rare, we have an iron chest plate, snow, and a lava charm. Okay. That's pretty cool. Oh. Down here. There's a little orange bar above the armor bar now. That's pretty cool. Is there anything I could use for this? Need to get more snow by chance? Cloud seed, water, salt, and snow. Squeeze. Get water out of it. Smelt it down to get water. And all these take 2 wool, or a piece of wool, 2 snow, earth, water, cake to make rune of winter. And infusion, get ice, but there doesn't seem to be too many uses for this, unfortunately. And since I only have one, can't exactly use it for anything. Iron chest plate's cool though. Definitely throw that on. Throw that in there. Put that on, and then throw the letter tunic into a chest. It might be of value. Alright, I am also gonna have to make a storage system because I just don't have a lot of free chests at the moment. Alright. Gotta throw this in here. Alright, now it's just gonna bug me a little bit that I can't remember what I was gonna be building. Up there. It hasn't been lit up yet. I don't have... bow. Bow's downstairs. I do have a bow. Wow. I am smart. Alright. There's the creeper. There we go. Alright. That little crisis has been averted. Let's go ahead and get back down here and actually build this. I know I was looking up the crafting recipe and it's need a lot of iron. Oh well. It'll probably come to me later on in the stream, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, that's what it was. Go ahead and let's that, and it'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, what was the scale here? 1, 2. Oh, it's 3. Okay, so this one can go. because now there's 0 and then 1, 2, 3. Then we go back. To here, and then we go 1, 2, 3. And then we go back under, and we go 1, 2, 3. Fill this all in. That, and then fill all this in. If I can stop messing up, that is. There goes one of the slabs. Oh well. Slabs are cheap, especially these ones. They're like as close to free as they can get. Maybe we can look it up. Sorry, that recipe is not going to bother me. I know it required iron. Oh, it's like some sort of like machine block. It's not this one. Not that one. That's gonna be a little annoying, but oh well. If I remember correctly, it required an item from up here. Not that one. Oh, it was this. So I can make like furnaces and channels and whatnot. This was the rest. Is there a way I can like... I don't think there's a way to add this over here, but... That! Because I want to make the furnace, because the furnace can be used for a lot of things. Furnace generator, culinary generator. I could turn food into energy. I might actually just be able to Climograph base unit. Terraformer, heater, cooler, humidifier, dehumidifier, magic absorption, confuser, dehostilifier. Yeah, so it looks like a machine block was what I was thinking about making. But first, I want to get this done, because it's been a work in progress for a while, and I want to make sure that's actually done. So right here's what I have to build off. Alright. That's now under, so now 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. This will not be enough to finish, but it'll be a huge amount of progress done on this. I want to say I strive for the progress part more than the actual completion. more I make progress on it, the closer it will be to being done, and then I don't have to worry about it again. And if you guys are wondering why I'm not lighting this up at all, it's the bottom half of a block. Monsters can't spawn. I mentioned that because of the fact that I did this earlier and I broke the top part. It's the quality of my mod on this. I don't remember which one it is because there's over 100 on this. So, but yeah, I really like it because it means that I don't have a chance of losing 2 slabs, and as long as I, get the under slab part, then it'll be fine. Might have just enough to finish this area right over here where I'm building for the animals. A lot and a little more. And get rid of all the ink sacs. I probably built this out really far then. I think I built it out in comparison to that over there. Oh well. It's fine. Eventually, this is going to take up a lot more of the landscape. Alright. Let's go ahead and let's actually do the stuff. Redstone. How does one get to the redstone? Oh, caps lock. Reds! Alright. So, boom. Heavy sieve is dust, dust, and dust. So, iron is at a 7. Diamond is at a 10. So, I get compressed dust. What I'm going to do that is I'm actually going to make a second hammer solely for getting the other stuff, because this hammer right here, this one's just for gathering the cobblestone since it can't come compact. But what I can do is take 2 regular diamonds. Actually, I would need a lot more diamonds, I'm pretty sure, because the compressed takes 9, so can't do iron, can't do gold, and I certainly can't do diamond because diamond takes 2, so this is 18. So my best bet is just to do this. Which is fine because it's not like I have access to it. Oh yeah. I gotta do this, and then I'm gonna take 18. Now I'm gonna go sticks if there's any over here. There's only a single plank over here, so I don't have to grab it from this chest. Okay. I think I need 2 to make it work. There we go. Alright. Let's go make a lot of hammers. And it'll be faster just to do this. Put that in there. There we go. Alright. So obviously I'm not going to do a lot of these. I will do 8 for now. Oh, it breaks them down to that. That's alright. Because I can just recombine them. Wow! Define the laws of gravity now. Cool. Alright. We'll do this. Press dust. And the diamond sieve will be better. Give me the seed. There we go. Alright, let's get some redstone. Hopefully it won't be too much of a pain to get. I got 4 and I got 5 blaze powder. Oh, glowstone. That'll actually be really nice. Alright. Focus sash. Yo, they added a focus sash from Pokemon. Lots of fiery pouches. Blaze cores. Rod of the Hells. Get some sparks. Blaze a lamp. Oh, wow. That is insane burn time. Blast brick. Blazing doll. Blaze and steel. So I just light things on fire twice. Ring of strength. Other basic stuff. You can squeeze it into lava. You can make a cup of coffee with some strength. 10 blaze fire heater, 40 TF. Alright, so that's got some uses. I think I gained just enough. Let's see. So if I do the machine, if I can spell it, machine block, I am missing a chest. Alright, so I need to go back and grab a chest then. This will give me 4. And I can see what I can do with 4. Leave it. That's alright. Now there are 5 uses for them. So I can't have them all. Furnace, Chanter, Crusher, Furnace Generator, and Klimbeth base unit. I think I might wait for this one. I'll go ahead and craft the others, and I need a lot of iron. Alright, which means that this one has to go, and I gotta put this one in. That's the only one that will give me a chance at iron at the highest rate. I just gotta throw as much as I can into the chest. Oh, I'm full on gold, so time to craft it down. That back in. And throw that in the furnace. A lot of mobs falling in there, that's good. Alright. Time to go through all of the gravel I have to get as much iron as possible, because I need a lot of it. Let's see, how much of it do I need? Uses. Alright, so 3 is needed here, 6 is needed here, technically 8 because of these 2. So this is 8, that's 3, that's 11, this is 16. So I need 16 pieces. Oh, and I also need more redstone for the furnace generator. And this one's got so many different uses. Which would actually be best for me? I don't even know how the generators work, to be honest. But yeah, I'm gonna need more redstone. But a lot of them take more iron than redstone. So I'll do this until I'm confident that we have enough. So I at least want to get the crusher. So crusher will help crush the stone and the chest down into other resources. Alright, so now the amount that I have is actually plenty. Because I already had 5 to begin with. Which is good. Let's got 2 more diamonds out of it too, so that's nice. Alright. 13 gold, that's nice. Go ahead and put it over here. Instead of another just random assortment. Actually, let's use for copper in this. Copper chest, cutting board, presser, copper chest transporter, capacitor, and there's guns in this. Oh, okay. That's nice. Throw the gold in there. Out. And head over this thing and clear it out because this is full. A lot of mobs. This stuff up here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright. And I just realized the pistons require redstone. So I'm gonna have to go get. I'm gonna have to make more redstone. Which means breaking more of this. Also means to swap them. Yep. Alright. Oh, and I got the 2 I needed. Oh, that was so lucky. Oh, that was... that... I was really happy by that. I did see that in here was another one, so... Wow. And I can't believe I missed the crafting table just like that. Get out of here. That. Alright. There's 6 there. Alright. And there's 8 there. Now I can make crusher. Alright. Where to put this? I think I might make the this area out of I have it as a sub part of this. Four, 5, and then 1, 2, 3. Go out 5 more blocks. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 that way, and now we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4 this way. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. And now to just fill all this in to the best of my ability. Before I continue, I'm going to get rid of the skeleton and light up where it's standing. What the? What is he doing? What was that? Does mob AI break on bottom half slabs? That way they can't spawn on them? Because it just confuses the heck out of them and just basically decides today is not worth it. I'm just gonna run in circles until I die. I'm gonna be a little bit short on this, but that's fine. Go over here. It's gonna be 15 short, so. There we go. Alright, get the food back in the offhand. And some more torches as well. There we go. Save to grab up from you. There, 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 right there. Alright, grid power 0, 0. Alright. So, now it's going to take RF. And say redstone on. And then I'm gonna go over to this. Got 4 cobble. So I can make some ladders. Alright. So there's extra utilities too, so let's do that. Alright. Alright, so here are the generators, furnaces. So I probably need like, oh, which one am I actually gonna need? But is there a way to like send energy between them, or is it like automatic? That is a lot. But I'm not seeing anything for that, so let's actually try something else. Alright. Let's try the brick one. Alright, got 2 dust. Clay, place, break them. Get that. Oh, I also gotta throw these up. What is in there? MHF pig. Thank you for more flesh. I'll be sure to eat it later. Sounds a little disturbing, but alright. And while that is going, I'm just going to go ahead and... let's see. So I also need... I still need more, like, dirt and whatnot. For the mob area. Okay. That in there. I'll go ahead and start destroying the trees that are up here. Even though that's almost done, but... oh. Start with this one. Get rid of all those. That's following the do. Another tree gone. That one's gone. I like doing the birch because birch stuff, it's easier to control how birch grows and it's to grow a lot easier. I actually prefer birch over oak when it comes to trading with villagers in more modern versions of the game. It's so much easier to chop them down than just to chop an oak tree down when they get big. Alright. Let's fill all these in. Yeah. Let's get rid of the wood that's here. Oh yeah, I forgot. This is also part hoe, so. Yeah, this tool I'm holding is, everything. It's the pickaxe, the axe, the sword, the shovel, and the hoe all in one. With over 30,000 durability, so. It'll last a very long time. Now I was putting unbreaking on it, so that as well. Once I find a way to somehow get mending in this world, this thing is just never gonna break. I'll make it perfect. Especially that like level 30 enchantments with this thing is probably crazy. Just like, hey, I see you have that tool there. Let's put some efficiency 5 on it. Then, you know, let's throw some unbreaking 3. And maybe sharpness 5. Maybe fortune. And looting. And, ooh, what about, we'll take a look at this. Here's some... fire aspect and knockback. Just have it be like this absolutely busted thing. Oh, what was that? Bakeware. Yeah. Not doing that. Furnace. Oh. The furnace just... furnaces. Faster, but if just furnaces. So I still need to figure out a way to increase my RFs. I'm gonna keep the levers on me for now. Alright. There's other recipes that I can do. Furnace, and there's a furnace generator. This might be what I need. Which I need a little bit more iron. Still need one more piece. There we go. That going. Oh yeah, I need this monstrosity. There, and once again, I got the 2 I need. It's really nice. Alright. Alright, it's done. I now need 8 blocks out of here. Go. That way I can make the furnace. How did I just earn the achievement of Hot Topic? I have it right here. Oh well. Log. I just want to make a log. Ah. Just stack it like that. Okay. That's easy. Alright. I'm gonna go ahead and separate these a little bit. I'm gonna put the fuel gatherers over here. These over here. that. Alright. And once this is full, stops. Go over here. Cannot put that in. What can I do? Different walls, flowers. Can you do beetroot? I could do. Oh, I could do ores? Alright. Do diamond ore? It's just more ore. Cobblestone, I can crush cobblestone into gravel and sand. And then crush gravel into sand. Oh. Alright, I can do another quartz. That. Glowstone will give me that. Coal gives me that. Draconium. Oh, there's the cobalt, and earlier was the ardite. Alright. So it looks like I can do blaze rods and bone meal, all different wools and the carpets, all the flowers, and then ores. So let me go ahead and test something. Wait. Can that stuff down there be used for anything? Can ink sacs actually work in this? Well, obviously not in the furnace generator, but is there a generator? Culinary generator. Looks like it's just foods. Okay. Survival generator. Can burn planks for a lot, but very slow. As opposed to the furnace generator. Which like any wooden block. 3.5 second, 3.75 seconds scale. Only a fifth of the thing, but for 8 times faster. Oh. Why would you want to use wither skeleton skulls in this thing? Just use bone blocks. Oh, this is how you get rid of enchantments. Okay. And you can destroy Ender Pearls and Eye of Enders. Explosive. TNT and gunpowder. Gunpowder is probably... Oh, wow. Crafted into TNT, you get a lot more time. Frosty. Okay. Oh, you're better off using ice instead of packed ice then. Heliotosis? Ah, Dragon's Breath. Okay. Here, redstone. Give it lava and redstone. Magmatic generator. Put lava in it and it'll make a little bit time. Another star. Burns another star at 9.6 million for 2 minutes at a rate of 4,000 per tick. Overclocked. Oh, so it's just destroyed almost instantly. Okay. Yeah, that's an expensive one. And it still requires the furnace generator, so that might be better. Pink generator. Just, they'll accept any pink thing. Potions. Water bottles are useless, but the more stuff that they have to it, the better. Slimy. Any slime balls plus milk will get you 400 per tick. Survival generator, I already looked at this one. Burns a plank. What is this? All the generators for creating power taste the unlimited power of the rainbow. Methane digester generator. Okay. Alright, so yeah. Still no use for this. Alright, so now that that is burned, maybe I'm able to like... Alright. Let's break one of this down. Okay, so it is not taking the power from this. Okay, so there is something I'm missing. What if I just put RF? It's probably some sort of like connector block that I'm missing. Well, here's something, but it's probably part of the immerse. Oh, what the? Extra utilities, that's what it is. There's gotta be something in here that allows for it. The transfer. That might take some time to figure out. Oh! It requires grinding up end stone. Well, that's a start. Transfer pipe, is that what I need? Might be. Not 100% certain, because I might transfer items, but... A lot of things require this, which unfortunately requires me to either obtain ender pearls or obtain ender crushed end stone or alright. Well, this is at least a good start. But it's something I'm able to use now. Transfer node energy. Okay, this may be what I need. But I'll have to do some testing on a different world in order to figure out how to use these. Oh well. Oh, there goes that piece of sugarcane. And we have 8 more dirt. 8 more dirt. 8 more dirt. Only a little bit more to go. Alright. Let's see. Yeah. In the dirt chest. That still does not really have a use. I keep on feeling like I see a name tag like down there. It's a little weird. Alright. I'm gonna stop focusing on that and start focusing on getting the dirt. Alright. Should we go ahead and put some of this into here. Grab this. Are there other crooks I can make? Unfortunately not. Oh well. That's fine. That many. There we go. Then I'll go up here and just get rid of all the leaves. Oh. What's all down there? That's bad. Nope. Good rain. What was that noise? That was weird. You guys hear that too? That was a little creepy. There's so much really nice to see. Can we get over a stack of this? Yes, we can. Let's go. Ah. Alright. Do that for now. Shop, replay. Hopefully this won't take too much longer. Let's see. So this is one, this is one, this whole area is one, and then one. Alright. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times I gotta do that. Alright. And we got a rare boot bag. Let's see what's inside of it. Void crystal chest plate, more snow, and blue slimy dirt. Okay, we have 3 snow. Once I figure out how to get a pumpkin, then I can have infinite snow. Which I can use for a lot of different things, including making that magical snow globe. Oh, I was making a lot of things. Auto character. It seems like they break. The stuff breaks insanely fast. Oh. I guess that's cool. May not find a use for it, but that's cool. Alright, got a few more of these towers left to break. Also going through this entire world so far without any pants. So that's cool, I guess. Alright, once we go these two, it's back to the top. I know you want to grow. There we go. Alright. Yep. Save my last back bottle. There's one of those. Over here, break this, and hop over here, and break all this. Hop, and let's see how much this we collected. Most likely a lot. It very much is quite a lot. Refill. This real quick, so that way. I no longer have to worry about trying to save that. I'm hoping I have my last potato. I don't think they can grow even though I sprint nearby. Yep. Grab dirt and refill them all back up. Do whatever it takes. And go in here and break it all this. Nom 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 nom. Okay. What just made that noise again? I know it wasn't the skeleton. But that, like, scared the heck out of me. Ow! They can regrow. Through their own wood. Nom 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 nom. Seriously. Where is that coming from? I'm so confused. Nom 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 nom. Too loud. I'm starting to get a little bit both creeped out and annoyed about the little noise that's been going on. Nom, 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 nom. I don't even know if it's in the game or not. I'm gonna try to see if I can like, catch it off guard. Weird. Very weird. Alright. Oh, the trees are gone. Let's go ahead and grab this set of dirt. Let's go place it all down. So now I got this spot plus that little bit. Probably. It only needs a little bit fully done. Just gonna eat the jerky. There we go. Alright, cook time. 196 plus 162 obviously equals 387. Because math. This might be the last little bit of tree cutting I'm going to have to do with that little island there. I'll sift the last of the gravel I have. See how many more resources I can get. There's a little calculator pole. Now I can grab all the birch saplings that are down here and immediately get started on this. Up. Play parkour across the trees. There's that one. The last one. Alright. Go. Okay. Dirt. And make two of the last pieces I'll ever I'm gonna need for that area. Gunpowder. Put it there. Dirt's almost done. Ooh. Oh. Got a rare loot bag down here. Nice. Isn't it? Green slime, a baconator, and lily pads. Lily pads are actually pretty cool because I don't have them. I don't have them this world yet, so that's actually a new find. Seems like I'm getting a lot of the slimy dirt. I think it's two big. Yeah, it's two baconators now. Okay. I guess. Oh, I threw the rest of them there. Uh-huh. Actually, I might use the last of the gravel on the diamond one out here. Now I have a better chance of getting more diamond stuff. get this sifted down. If it wants to be sifted, that is. Alright, 2 more diamonds. 31 more coal. A lot more lapis. Can I use these for? Magic infuse, so. Oh, I wonder if that's. Well, looks like I'm not gonna be getting that for a while. Because I don't know how to make tea. A blaze raw chicken, lava chicken, and a gold chicken when bred have a 20% chance to. Oh, wow. Oh, looks like I need chickens in order to create stuff, I guess. It's a little bit weird, but alright. Oh, alright, grass block. How do I make it? Alright, what are your uses? Topiary grass. Oh wait, I have grass seeds. That's how you do it. That's right. Oh, it took me a bit to remember. But yeah. Take... these. We'll just use them on the dirt, I believe. Oh, I needed to do one more cycle. I completely forgot I needed to do one more cycle of the dirt. It's fine. I know I most likely have enough resources lying around to get the last 8. There. Spruce, jungle, acacia, dark oak. I can use oak seeds. I could try insects. I don't think it's gonna work. Yeah. Oh, seeds don't even work either. Can it work? That works. Oh, if network works, then I'm gonna need another one. Alright, I'm not using it for anything else. I gotta wait for those two, but while I wait for those two, I'm gonna go place these guys over here. And then do I just right click? I do. Okay. There we go. And the last little bit of dirt can now be plugged in. And now I have to use the birch that I have to build a fence around this so mobs spawn in here and stay in there. Alright. I now need the birch logs. I just throw all of it on the ground. Is this the crafting recipe for it? Yay. Alright. It's so much cheaper than the old way. Alright, that's probably far too many, but it'll do. Alright. Then I grab the torches now, so I can get the corners in. Maybe grab the torch before I place it in. There we go. Alright. Now I just gotta wait for that, but now that is another thing I can cross off this. Alright. Tinker's construct tools from bones or flint. You know, I guess since Tinker's construct is most likely going to be the next thing I focus on after I figure out all that, might as well go ahead and try. I do know a little bit about it. Not a lot, just a little. Alright, I am now officially stuck in the block. Maybe if I save and come back. Oh, nope, that's... Alright, sorry, that's my bad. Did not mean to push that button. Let me go ahead and boot it up real quick. I'm gonna go back to that. Hold on, everybody. Sorry. Did not mean to push that button, but it is fine. All I gotta do is just load it back up and we'll be good to go. Alright. Drag it back over. And flip back down. Oh, my Minecraft. There we go. Alright. Sorry about accidentally quitting the game. I did not mean to fully quit. I just meant to leave the world and then go back and see if I can get out of that block. I'm pretty sure there's stone underneath me. Not 100%. If there isn't, I know where the water is. I could just try to go straight towards it, so that way I can at least save myself. Let's go ahead and wait for it to load, and then we'll be back in it. There we go. Alright. So I know which way I'm facing, so if it fails, all I gotta do is just go as far forward as I can. Okay. Not work. Alright, I'm gonna try to go for that over there. Oh, just barely. Alright. So yeah, that's kind of part of the reason why I started building that. I guess before I start doing the Tinker's Construct, I'm gonna go ahead and fill in the rest of the cobblestone. And I narrowly got to this too. I only had a few blocks left. And I need to get there. So that's a piece of dirt that I just lost. It's fine, I can get it back. Alright. throw some stuff into here. So obviously not going to do the Tinker's construct as of right now. Oh, now this thing down here is fully full. Interesting. There we go. Alright. Let's grab 6 stacks. Alright. 2, 3, 4, 5, and there we go. Put that in there. Real quick. No loot bags. Does not matter. Alright, here it is. So this is 0, so 1, 2, 3. Switch back. This is 0s. 1, 2, 3. Alright. Just gotta build around the water. Oh, I have a mob. I have a monster where it's not supposed to be. I need a torch. Alright, let's go take care of the monster that's over here. Alright. Might be because of these pillars, but oh. I gotta be careful because some of this still doesn't have the stuff it needs. Oh, did it freak out and just run off the island? That's funny. Alright, so pretty much once they're knocked off onto this platform, I'm safe. Mineral sapling, feather, and quartz enriched iron. What could this be used for? Machine casing, solder, controller, placing engines, connecting with cable, insulator, transmitter, the grid. There's a lot of stuff that could be used for. Oh, okay. And this one, endstone and pumpkin pie. Alright, I am glad we have more endstone. Definitely need it. Need this one over here. More good. Alright, back to the downstairs. Make sure there's a block under every single tile. before I do anything crazy. This area is going to be the largest one to fill in. And once all this is done, then huge safety net to catch myself if I fall again. So far, I have been deathless on this world. I haven't died once. Which I'm actually, like, really happy about. Statistics. Minutes played 9.11 hours since last death 9.11. Number of depths 0. It's on normal, but this world could just become hardcore, and while losing it would be devastating, I've actually done pretty well in keeping myself as safe as I can. Maybe there was a few times where I messed up, especially like right there, but I knew where the water was, and I was confident I could get to it in time. Looking back, if I did, I might have had my water bucket, so I could have just, you know, been smarter and just used it instead of becoming certain that I was gonna die. Oh. It all works out. That's a lot on all this. So now let me go ahead and do it to the new area over here. Alright. There we go. And we go this way. And then we go this way. And back. Alright. Now the reason why I want all this filled in as well, and really like way underneath there where there's almost no chance I'd fall, is just in case there's like some sort of malfunction going on somewhere and there's a monster where it shouldn't be, especially like a creeper just explodes. It's far enough, this is far enough down to where it won't get blown up very much, and even if it does, only like 1, maybe 2 blocks would be broken. It's not gonna be like the end of the world or anything too crazy. Alright. right here. So we can build out this way and head to the underneath of the cobblestone generator area, which I'm going to say just starts here. I'm going to make it 1 extra in every direction before I do the +3. Like this. Yeah, I technically should have gone out 1 more that way, but oh well. I can literally add that extra 1. Super easily. Literally just like this. I also find it funny how I accidentally built a really powerful squid farm to get extra items. Just on accident. That one I may or may not have to actually disable, so that way other animals can spawn. Alright, and 1, 2, 3. One, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. I'm just gonna go all the way. Right. It's kind of like might as well. And I'm out. Alright. In case you're wondering, this is why this is still like peeking out of the ground. For now at least. So now I can just... And I might actually keep it like that, because if I ever expand, cobblestone is very cheap, especially when it's quite literally free. Literally, it's ticking up by 1 because of the item that's right underneath this cobblestone generator. It's automatic. This is what just gets me the gravel, so I can actually, you know, collect ores and whatnot and make this kind of stuff. Got a skeleton. That's good. Let's go ahead and keep going. Because, like, for the underneath this, I'm not going to expand it too far. Literally just that. That's all I'm going to need. Alright, that's almost everything. I gotta expand this out by 3 in every direction. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Alright. go. This will be almost the entire place completely safe and secure. Well, a little bit. There's not really anything that would take you if you fall off this platform. The only other area left is this area right over here, right underneath my base. So once again, I'm gonna mark out exactly where the base is, and then go 3 out from there. Now, obviously, the chance of something going wrong with the base is really small, considering this is where I spend most of the time now. Well, actually, I think I still spend most of the time over there on the trees. Oh well. I always want to be sure that I'm as careful as I can be. Especially when it comes to having limited resources. Never be too safe. You have the illusion of feeling safe. The illusion will quickly transpire into not being very safe. Like, very quickly. Alright. Go. That back. And the 1, 2, 3 this way is literally just... Okay. Yep. Okay. Everything I have is gonna be gone. Because I'm too far. Well. I lost the achievement book too. Alright, well. That sucks. Alright. It's fine. Oh, did I have the sieve on me? The iron sieve? Oh, alright. Yep, I did. Oh, that's great. And I did say earlier, I did say right over there, there's nothing to protect me if I fall off this, so... Wait. Is that a gravestone? I mean, I know that there's crafting recipes for it. My stuff might still be down there. Oh, if it is, I gotta get down there. I don't know if that... I know it's a block, so it might not expire. But I still gotta get down there. Let's see. Where are all my buckets? I know I fell with one of the buckets, but I thought I had plenty more. Alright. Look at this. What's this used for? Not really a whole lot. I'm gonna grab some cobblestone out of here. Make some slabs. Alright, and there's no like way for me to slow my fall, so okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure just falling right onto that is gonna kill me, so. I'm just gonna go down like this. Okay, I think that's as low as I'm gonna get it. Because after that, there is only half a slab more. And I can't also build off of it, so. Protective barrier around it. Okay. So this is cool. Is there a way for me to get rid of that? There it is. Move. Bounce. Let's jump really high. I wasn't very high, so the block's a scam. Alright. I do like the fact that since everything's a half slab, you can kind of see the light through all the blocks. That is really, really cool touch. Well, now that I'm back up here, I gotta take this much more slowly. Alright. And then from here we go 1, 2, 3. I gotta go down there and place a torch. Although that could be like far outside the really effective anymore. But still, for peace of mind and the fact that if something does fall down there, it could just, you know, swim back up. Although I just noticed the fact that this house is exactly 1, 2, 3 blocks out. It's almost another 10 over there. I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna get a 4. Okay, and then 3 this way. 1, 2. Oh yeah, there's a lot of things spawning down there, so I'm gonna take care of it. I feel like as I'm going down and shoot him, it's gonna fall. This one then. There's no way I'm gonna be able to hit the bat. Not with my absolutely poor shooting skills. Alright. There we go. That's now lit up. And now we know that if I do fall off and die, it's just gonna, you know, be a block down at the bottom that I can just walk up to and grab back. Alright, let's go check out the dead squids. You guys have any loot bags? Dude. Two of them? And this one we have a void crystal pickaxe and a lava charm, which I'm pretty sure I already have. Yep. So, and the only other thing that they have for them is lava waders. They gotta climb obsidian water walking boots, which you gotta combine with either obsidian skull or obsidian skull ring with the water walking boots in order to get these. No idea. So that is useless now. And then gunpowder. Not finally, I don't know to see if the pickaxe is actually good or if it's, you know, terrible. Mine's pretty quick, but for only 280 durability, and the fact that I can't use it on anything, just get rid of it. Well, there we go. Now there's a platform surrounding the entire place that'll keep us safe. And I'm gonna actually disable this for now. And I'm gonna mark it as something that is cheap that I don't really care about. Whoa! Now, you can actually like spawn animals. Instead of hundreds of squids. Go back over here, go to sleep, and hopefully the field of grass can actually like spawn something, and if not, then I might have to make it bigger. But that's gonna be something I'm gonna have to look at later. Alright. Oh yeah. Do I have any egg? Let's see. No egg in there. I have a single egg here. No eggs. And no eggs. Alright. Well. How can I use it? I can compost it. I can smelt it with plant clippings and trimmings into green dye. Or a bunch of cakes and other recipes, food with food and whatnot. Somewhere over here. Ah. Eggs. So. I also can get from a common loot bag. Alright. I really hope this spawns an animal, because if not, then, that's gonna be sad. And I'm sad. It's a very sad day now. Alright, well. In that case. Guess what I could start doing is. Craft some ores and get that starting to smelt just in case I need it later. And I already have it. Since this item is useless, just gonna get rid of it. What are your uses? LV capacitor, MV, lead seeds, block of lead, lead sign, lead plate, nuggets. I can make a bucket out of it. Interesting. And I can make skillets. It's probably better in casting. Oh. Ooh, got a new bow. Make it even better. I don't even know if having a fence around all this is going to be helpful, or if it, like, actually hinders the ability for things to spawn. Alright. Well, let's see. What can I do for the next little while? Because we are at the 2-hour mark now. And I am going to put this just right here, I guess. Oh yeah, worms that like help with plant growth. Oh, there's not really a whole lot left that I could realistically do. So I think I might just go ahead and call it there for now. Made a lot of progress though. We got the animal pen all set up. Once animals actually get in there, that is. We have a energy setup starting, which I'm gonna have to figure out how to get it to work. We have completed the underground down here. I like how now I'm calling this the underground, even though it's 5 blocks under, not really underground, since you see most of it on the map. And actually, I think that's pretty much it. They spent a long time figuring out that stuff. But, yeah. Oh, and we found out about the gravestone deaths points. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching the video. And I will see you all next week, same time as usual. And yeah, have a good one, y'all. See ya. And have a good night. Or day. Or whatever time it is for y'all. Anyways, see ya.